So I'm so excited to just continue in the flow of the We Lift Us mini series. If you have already experienced the first episode, you already know that this is an experience where you will really engage in what I like to call conversational learning and the art of conversation and dialogue, and how that conversation turns into a rhythm, and how that rhythm really becomes a sounding board for helping women be lifted. And so that is really what We Lift Us is about, lifting up women of color and really doing that through conversation and exploration and through the arts. And so when we talk about the arts of conversation, I am so excited to really share with you all Dr. Frances Graham. She is going to really introduce herself, but I am putting it out there in this moment to call her the happiness expert. And so, but I'm going to allow her to introduce herself in this moment so that you all can see who she is.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Dr. Ladrie. I really appreciate the invitation. I'm excited to be here this afternoon. And for the audience, I am Frances Graham. I am hoping to be the happiness expert soon on Black women. I'm planning to do some research on that topic, and we'll see how it all shakes itself out. In the meantime, however, today I'm here to talk to you about happiness as it exists in my life from many, many different perspectives. And that
Mhm.
comes from my family, most importantly, I would say, is where I get the greatest sense of happiness, my work, my friends, my engagement in community service, and particularly through my sorority, and just having days when I can look at the sun and remind myself that there is a God and that I am a child of that God, and as a result of that I have opportunities like this, to be able to come and talk about my life experiences with the hope that maybe someone will hear something that helps them to feel better in their life. So, thank you again for the invitation to be here. I'm excited about the conversation to ensue, and hope that the work that you are doing um, benefits and touches millions of people across the world, in particular, Black women.
Yes, thank you so much for that. And I heard you say something so powerful that really had to do with that terminology of hearing. I think that is sort of a perfect question to kind of start us off with as to what does happiness sound like? Because
Mm,
I feel like we know that it may sound like laughter, but I believe that there's such depth to what happiness can uncover in what
yeah,
it sounds like. So when we're talking about the art, I believe that happiness has an art through the form of expressing in a sound. Laughter
yeah.
is one, but what are some other ways where it's just like happiness can be a sound?
Yeah. So for me, I will just talk a moment about how I've spent my day. I teach college students at all levels, undergraduate, master's, and doctorate. And today I was grading um, undergraduate papers for the introduction of African American literature. And I got to the last presentation, and in fact, I was not quite finished with it when I came on this call. It made me so happy
Mm.
listening to this young man talk about rap and the manner in which he put his presentation together, his PowerPoint, was so incredibly creative. It had so many components of hearing and happiness. It made me so happy to see that the last presentation that I am listening to for this class brought me so much joy because I could see that he had learned African American history in the class. He
Mm.
was able to apply it to the assignment. He seemed to enjoy what he was doing in his presentation. His presentation was professionally done. It was very creative with splices of music and people and articles. I was just so excited and happy to see the level of commitment and work that that young man had put into this assignment. So I want to give him 100 plus, 100 plus, 100 plus, because not only was the quality just that well done and he met the expectations of the assignment, but it also brought me happiness, which was listening to music I haven't heard in years, and also seeing the connection for this young man. That Hearing that brought me joy today. So I think that you can hear joy from lots of different perspectives.
Mm.
Sometimes, even when we're not listening, because oftentimes we're so focused on many things. I am a perpetual multitasker. And so oftentimes I'm not always listening. And I had 50 of these presentations to listen to, and I got to number 50 and I heard it in a way that I hadn't heard the others. Although the students will all be graded fairly, I have to admit that this young man really, truly captured um, my hearing and heightened my sense of happiness today.
Wow, I think that that is so powerful and really highlighting that happiness can start with a visual. It can
Yes,
be prompted
absolutely.
by reading something. Happiness can come by literally watching someone succeed and excel in something, and it brings
Absolutely.
happiness. I mean, who said that happiness has to come from, you know, something that we like to do?
Hmm.
Best way
Hmm.
to explain is the joy that comes from literally seeing a paper presentation
Yes.
being executed in a way that was innovative and brilliant, and that brought a level of happiness. Happiness is sustainable. And so, thinking about happiness in that way, how has your family, right? We think about it as
Mhm.
how has your family played a role in your identity or drawing out that desire of happiness in your exploration or desire to study um, in your personal identity? Is there anything that your upbringing has connected you to?
Yes, yes, that's a fabulous question. I grew up in the Midwest, Champaign, Illinois, to be exact. People may know Champaign as it is connected to the University of Illinois at Urbana Champaign. But I grew up in Illinois, and my parents used to have these Friday fish fry parties at their house. And so my mother would fry fish and make spaghetti and cornbread, and friends and neighbors would come over and they would play Gladys Knight and Al Green
Mm.
and all of the classics for me. And so that was one form of happiness and creativity for me was watching, first of all, my mom do all this cooking, and that's how I learned how to cook, was watching her. She never measured anything. So uh, I know that there are many of us in the African American community who are trying to put together family recipes with a little pinch of this or a pinch of that, because that's what we have watched and learned from our family. So, watching my mother cook, and then enjoying the beautiful spread, the delicious spread that she would make, and then playing cards, watching them play cards, and out there on the dance floor talking about get out on the good
Yeah.
foot or whatever that was, right? I mean, so there was that kind of creativity in my house. And my brother, my oldest brother, one of my older brothers, introduced me to the Ohio Players. And so music was a big thing in my family. Now, I can't hold a note if you gave it to me, so I don't even really try to sing. Um, but I love music. That has carried with me throughout my life. So I often start my day with music, usually gospel music, listening and meditating and praying on, something that has touched my heart. Um, I'm not a drawer, or I can't draw an artist, I should say. I'm not an artist or any of that, but I always wanted to be. And so I did take a piano class. I was not very good at it. So I'm thinking as I'm getting older, I've been making my list of things that I want to learn and do. And piano is back on my list of, things that I want to master.
Wow.
Um, so I would say that those are really some of the ways that happiness and music, art has, found a way. Cooking, culinary arts have found a way into my life, and they have stuck with me. I still cook, I still listen to good music,
Yeah.
and often keeping a list of artistic things that I want to learn to do as well.
Yeah. So literally, I hear like that it became customary. And
Yes.
like what you were able to see and grow up and observe in your own family, it literally carried with you.
Mhm.
And you have those same customs that you are engaging in now, like getting up in the morning. And it's almost like if you think about you're setting up your day, and you are literally creating a day. So I'm like, maybe we all are artists, right? Even as I'm like exploring this conversation, because you really want to create an environment for your day. And it sounds like
Mhm.
you you observe this customary tradition within your family is like, oh, there's joy and happiness when we cook. But when we play music and we're dancing and keeping
Yes.
that customary in my day. So if I want joy in the morning, I know that, right? Bringing in the sound of happiness, and it sounds like music for me, and
Yes.
gospel music brings a sound to set my day up, and so I'm creating a happiness day of art. Right?
Mhm.
It's like
Yeah,
we get
absolutely.
to reimagine and reimage, right, what art is. We don't have to limit it to um, different forms of creativity, but I think that what you have done is created an art in your day, and that drawing places of happiness in life is a powerful source for you. Would you agree with that one?
Yes, I would. It's happiness in the tangible and the intangible for me. So, the music and starting my day with music and creating, my day, that is also really very important for me. But it's also the interaction with people, it's the happiness that people bring to my life as well. And so
Mm,
hearing from my mother once a week or twice a week or three times a week, that, brings joy as well. And that continues from childhood, connecting with my siblings, my nieces and nephews, friends. That often fills me with joy as well, unless there's somebody trying to bring me some bad news. And so then things shift a little bit, have to go back to that music or, something else to lift up that moment of darkness, depending on what's going on. But absolutely, the family, friends bring that happiness with them as well.
yeah, and I love that piece where you draw it into like sometimes this is what I heard. You didn't say it like that, but sometimes I just need to hear from my mama,
Yes,
right? Um,
absolutely.
And what it's really doing is reinforcing a sound in the mind that really can build legacy.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I literally, my grandmother. She passed away in 2020, March of 2020.
Oh, I'm so
I
sorry
still
to hear
hear
that.
but I still hear her,
Yes,
and I
yes.
still feel the joy in the sound of her voice that's in my.
Mhm.
There's something about the consistency of searching and seeking that sound. There's something about the consistency of reinforcing that sound that is familiar that we know is going to bring us into a place of joy. And so I
Yes.
love how you talked about that relationship key point there, and you highlighted. Sometimes I just need to hear from my mom
Yeah.
now.
You know, um, I recently, a number of my friends have lost a parent, in particular, a mother. And in those moments, I've just had to really just thank God that mine is still living. She'll be 80 on August the 7th, and we are trying to find small ways to celebrate her because she doesn't like a lot of fanfare and being the center of attention. But for me, I grew up with a mom who believes in integrity, and she taught that to her children. She did not take any junk from us at all, and we've had a number of conversations about my perception of how she raised all of us, but in particular me, because my experience with her is my experience with her, which is different than my the experiences my brothers and my sisters had with her. But as the oldest girl, I felt like she put a lot of responsibility and high expectations on me. And we've been able to talk about a lot of that. And in doing that, it has allowed me to hear my mother in ways that I don't know that I heard her as a young woman growing up. And so now to be at this age and stage in my life, I think that there's a sense of gratitude and grace that I don't know that I had or even understood, 30 years ago. But now I think I have a much better sense of her, and I think she has a better sense of me. And I just have to be so thankful. So, yes, there are days when, even at this age in my life, I feel like, I need to just talk to my mother, even if it's just, hey, mom, I didn't want anything. I was just calling to hear your voice. I don't need anything. How are you doing? It can be that quick. And it can, those kind of conversations can shift my mood or experience, in a moment as a result of having had the privilege of being able to pick up the phone and call my mother and just say hi. I just wanted to say hi. That's all. That's it.
Yes. And
You
as I hear you talking, like I just see a picture of so many different like paths of
know.
what that experience does, whether that offers up forgiveness, whether
Mhm.
when we're talking about sounds, like I feel like that just opens
Yeah.
up space for forgiveness, gratitude, and then you're able to say, okay, I'm able to hear through the journey of life.
Mhm.
I just
Mhm.
heard you kind of really spotlight a journey. Would I have been able to hear what I'm hearing now 30 years ago? I think what would be super valuable for people is to really engage and understand and explore that journey of hearing. Because
Yes.
what you may have heard 20 years ago or 30 years ago, but what you hear now may have shifted.
Mhm.
And and
Mhm.
and what is going on in that process that's allowing you to hear something that you may not have heard before? Is it your own personal life experiences? Is it um, forgiveness? Is it acceptance? I know what sometimes is helpful for individuals is um, going through their own personal journey of acceptance and and that acceptance birthing out possibilities and happiness.
Mhm.
I would love to kind of hear your process from an intergenerational perspective, uh, how that legacy of sound uh, carried on for you like a journey.
Yeah, yeah. So for me, I think it's a combination of many things that you said. Certainly forgiveness. I think I'm in a place now where I can forgive many things that I don't think I could forgive in my 20s. Because, in your 20s, you think you know everything. You think, I'm the bees and knees, everything centers around me. You just, my maturity just wasn't there. So I don't know that knowing some of what I know now about my mother's life experiences, my own life experiences, that I, you know, could have forgiven when I was 20. But now at 61, certainly I can, I have a different sense of reflection, which is important, for me. And so I think definitely forgiveness, my own life experiences. Um, I think it's really true that the longer you live, the more life you get. And so I've had the privilege of being able to have some experiences in this life that have been really teaching moments. And so I'm really appreciative of those moments. Gratitude for me has always been a big, big
Mhm.
thing. Growing up in Illinois, I have six brothers, I had two sisters. My family was blended. We often didn't have a whole lot of money. And so, as the oldest girl, I often felt like I was having to put everybody else's needs before my own. I spent a lot of time babysitting um, siblings and looking out for them. And I feel like sometimes, not often anymore, but coming up, often felt like I missed out on things because I was always having to be responsible for someone else or the responsible person, in the situation. And so I have learned that those moments of feeling like I was left out or didn't have enough, I learned that being grateful for what I had in the moment was more valuable than my perception of what I didn't have or what I thought I needed or what I thought I should have. Um, and so that's been very important for me. Gratitude has been very important for me. But I think really for me, the most important piece of this was to forgive myself
Mhm.
for things that I feel like, I didn't make the right decision when I decided to go to the community college instead of going to the 4-year college, which is what my parents wanted me to do. But I wanted to do something different because I was angry with them for not letting me go to the school that I wanted to go to. And so, um, learning to forgive myself has been an incredible lesson of
Mhm.
learning and hearing, because what it's meant for me is that I've been able to tap into my own psyche and recognize that while I can forgive everybody else, I
Mhm.
also need to forgive myself,
Yes.
and that nothing that I have done throughout my life has been so horrible that God would not forgive me. And so it's been a really, a great process of learning and growing and being open and standing up for myself when I needed to.
Mm. Mm. I love how you said that because standing up for yourself means to allow yourself to be forgiven.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
And forgiveness in Hebrew, when you look at the description of it, it means to let go.
Yes.
And
Yes.
sometimes we are holding on, and then it makes it hard to stand. So like,
Mm-hmm.
up for yourself means sometimes I just have to let go.
That's right.
And then the terminology that you use, the gratitude, you said gratitude was a big part of your journey. And in Hebrew, gratitude means haragat tova, which means to remember the good.
Mm-hmm.
And I could imagine what staying in a state of gratitude does and how that literally draws happiness to you.
Yes.
It
Yes.
puts you in a position, in a posture where gratitude becomes something that allows you to live in happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
if
I agree.
yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say if you don't have gratitude, how can you have happiness?
Right. Absolutely right. Totally agree with that. And there are times in our lives when, things happen. We make plans, right? But that's not the plan that's supposed to be followed through at the moment. Oftentimes we are in a state of right now. I want it right now. And if I don't get it right now, everything is going to be, really difficult and whatever. But the reality is that we get what we're supposed to have when we're supposed to have it. And it takes some of us a really long time to learn that. And so growing up and in my mind, always being the last one on the list to get new shoes or to get the Sizzler suit that we wanted for the
Mm-hmm.
4th of July,
Mm-hmm.
even though I may not have gotten that, I had everything I needed.
Yes.
And it sometimes takes us a long time to recognize that we have everything we're supposed to have at the time that we are supposed to have it. And sometimes that doesn't feel very comfortable
Mm-hmm.
because we think we should have what we want when we want it, and we should have what other people have because that's what we want too. And I think I learned that lesson pretty early. That
Mm-hmm.
was one of those early lessons, and thankfully I've been able to carry it forward. It's not something that I have forgotten over the years. It may not have been as prominent at some times in my life, when I was going through grad school, just trying to get through. But in the end, when I reflected back, I recognized that I had everything that I needed. And so all that, complaining and moaning was unnecessary. It was just me being myself at that moment
Yeah.
because it was what I felt like I needed to do. But um, the end result has been so great. So I'm thankful.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And to really uh, create this bridge is what we're seeking to do here with the We Lift Us efforts and bridge the gap between multi generations, right? Um, and so, if we're thinking about happiness as an art, as an expression, right? If we're creating a happiness love chart for our life journey, how do you think that can be used as a bridge, right, between multiple generations for African American women? Because we need happiness. So, how can it be a bridge? How can we create
Yeah,
an art form?
yeah. Well, as an educator, someone who has been able to work with students, from 18 to 60,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think one of the ways you do that is one, helping people recognize their own internal happiness by encouraging them, uh, reminding them to reflect, putting their own intentions in the universe, asking for what they need, and being grateful once they get it. And even if they don't get it, if they don't receive it, to be thankful no matter what. I think those things, um, those kind of attitudes will carry you across every generation.
Mm,
Because what I've just shared with you is what I can share with my niece,
mm-hmm.
which is what she can share with her son,
Mm,
which her son can then share with his future family partners. And so I try to do that when I'm working with my students, regardless of where they are in the educational process. I try to do that with my friends and my family. And so I think if you can understand the concepts of intention, of
mm,
gratitude,
mm,
of reflection, of openness, of
mhm,
thankfulness,
mm.
that those things can generate happiness.
Yes.
Those things can also carry you through. They also can carry you through generations. I saw that. I have seen that in my own family. And so when I think about my mother and my aunts and my uncles, my siblings, that's what I see um, in them, that they've set intentions, that they've been grateful, that
Mm,
they've been open. And so all of those things I also carry with me. And I believe and hope that I have done that with my students that I've worked with over the course of my career, is being able to help people see those things for themselves, and then to also um, actualize them in their own lives by sometimes just sharing a simple tool. If what you really want, if your intention is to have this amazing career, put it on a vision board, pray about it, you know get a mentor. I'll be your mentor. Finding ways to help people set those intentions and to remember to be grateful, to learn to be open, which means for me, eliminating fear.
mhm.
And so those are some of the ways that I think we can carry happiness through generations, through relationship
Yes.
with others and ourselves.
Awesome. And basically I hear a legacy of a value system. And
Yes,
those value
absolutely.
systems are transcending across generations and across time. That is
Mhm.
absolutely amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Francis. And I'm just expecting so much that's going to come from this space of happiness. I think it's an untapped place of artistry that hasn't really been explored well. And so I believe that once we begin to understand a little bit further the depth of what are some value systems like gratitude, right?
Mhm.
Reflecting that can bring about that happiness that can keep you in a way, happiness in a way that's sustained over time and across different generations. So thank you so very much for your time. Everyone that is watching this series, I hope that you are taking all of the nuggets that are here and to use them as an opportunity to apply it to your own personal life. Thank you and continue to join the We Live Best community.
Thank you, Dr. Ladria. It was such a pleasure. I really appreciate it. Good luck with everything.
Same. Thank you again so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you as well. Good luck with everything, okay?
Thank you. Have a
All
good one.
right. You too. Bye bye.
Bye.